Hello, everybody, and welcome to our CvHS Scribe podcast. I'm Jacob Murphy,
And I am Connor Tyndall.
and usually we talk about current events on our podcast. Today, we came in feeling a little nostalgic. You know, we're seniors in high school. We're getting a little old.
Stay
Right.
tuned for our Celebrity Roast podcast
And-
coming next month.
Oh, yes. You should definitely tune into that. I'm gonna tease that a lot on my Twitter.
Would you vote for Dwayne Johnson? Anyways, okay, we're getting off track.
Anyways, stop. Sorry, getting off track. Anyways, so we came in talking about, some people in our production crew didn't know what certain things from me and Connor's childhood was.
Youngins.
And so we're get real excited talking about some pretty cool things from our childhood. I want to start off with TV shows. What about Drake and Josh?
Yeah, what y'all know about Drake and Josh?
Yeah, y'all know anyone know anything about Drake? Okay, so Drake and Josh was this Nickelodeon. If anyone doesn't know, hopefully all
How do
of
you not know? Dude, if you don't know who Drake and Josh are at this point, just look it up.
Drake
because,
and Josh
like,
is
you're not worth my time.
was a
to tell you.
Nickelodeon TV show about stepbrothers played by Josh Peck and Drake Bell.
Yeah, remember when Josh Peck used to be, like, super fat? And then, like, season 3 or 4 happened, and he was, like, super skinny,
Josh
and nobody
Peck-
knew what
Well,
happened.
actually, he wasn't even super skinny. Like Josh Peck used to be,
Oh yeah, he just grew
he
up.
used to be
really.
a pretty big guy, 6 foot, about 300 pounds when the season started. I'm so sorry if he hears this at any point, which probably not, and I get that wrong. I apologize. I'm not really looking at his metrics from when he was 13.
Was he really 13 when he started Drake and Josh? Or
might
when
have-
he was casted into Drake
It might
and
have
Josh?
been probably a little bit older.
That's one of the
thinking.
things about these shows is, like, you have to take a step back and you have to think, like, I've been alive for almost 18 years at this point.
Yeah.
Myself. And, like, it's...
Also,
when
the
I
thing
was-
about the shows from our childhood is nowadays, there's enough child actors where they can cast a 12-year-old as a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
But back then, they had to cast 18-year-olds as 14-year-olds because they just weren't enough.
Tobey Maguire in the first Spider-Man movie was in, like, his mid to late 20s when he was cast as a high school
I
student.
thought he was 30.
Not at the time of filming. No.
Oh, okay. But anyway.
So, yeah, that's...
But so Josh Peck used to be real big, and then Drake and Josh went off, and the next thing that he did, in terms of movies or TV, was he did the remake of Red Dawn. Dude was shredded in the remake of Red Dawn.
Was that Josh Peck?
It was, dude.
I thought Chris Hemsworth was in the Red Dawn
He was.
remake.
So was Josh Peck.
Yeah, but I thought it was only Chris Hemsworth. Hold on.
No, it was Josh Peck, Chris Hemsworth, yada yada yada. The other guy,
12.
the guy from the Hunger Games.
Let's not talk about the scores
Okay,
on
let's
this
not talk
movie.
about. We're not gonna talk about Red Dawn.
I just want the cast. He wasn't it.
Yeah, he wasn't.
I don't remember
And
that.
he looked big, dude. Dude knew how to get in shape. Proud of him for that. But that's just one of our shows that
Honestly, I think he just grew up. Like
I
you were
think-
saying.
I
he
think
just
they need to
grew.
put Drake and Josh on Netflix. It seems like such a Netflix
No,
show
it's
to
way
put
too
on.
late to be bringing something back like that. Unless they do a reboot type thing like Cobra Kai or like Fuller House or that sort of thing,
No,
where it's
don't
not
do-
like a
No, it-
reboot,
it's
but
not-
it's like a sequel.
It's not too late. I mean, Friends has been off the air for 15 years, and it's still on Netflix, right? Or I'm not sure when Friends came out. I'm not a huge Friends guy. Yeah, so that's a huge thing from our childhood. What else? What other TV shows could we talk about?
I don't know. I didn't really watch TV. I grew up watching like crime stuff. It was weird. Yeah.
Oh, so you were one of those.
I was
you were
a,
one of
a
those
young
kids
little
that-
boy.
You were one of those kids that like started watching horror movies when we were like 10.
Yeah.
You're that kid.
Well, it's not like my parents were just like, what's the point in like covering their eyes if it's just gonna make them like more curious, So they just didn't really care in that situation.
The most adult movie I ever watched when I was a kid, I think I was 9 the first time I saw 21 Jump Street.
I think I was 10 years old when I watched some scary movie, some old scary movie.
See, I
and
didn't
I
wa-
like stayed up for like 2 days straight almost
I
because I was
was-
just like scared.
I was a real jumpy kid.
Yeah,
You know-
as a kid, I was like,
I was a real jumpy kid. I didn't like anything like that. Like I went to Disney World and the Headless Horseman came down in the parade on Halloween and startled the crap out of me. I was 8. And so I was like, the first horror movie I ever watched, I was in the 7th grade.
Yeah, I don't even remember what movie I watched. I just remember how scary it was.
I remember the first horror movie I ever watched, Cabin in the Woods. Chris Hemsworth was in the movie.
Isn't that like
terrible
Isn't that
movie.
like a comedy?
Almost. It had the funniest horror movie death I've ever seen. And
If you haven't watched that movie by now, again, just go Google it because it's been a while. Jeez.
Also some things that aren't TV shows. Let's talk about a Disney TV show from our childhood.
Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
Sweet Life of Zack and Cody is probably the one that defines my childhood.
Sweet Life on Deck. I remember waiting. I remember being so excited because they announced like the season premiere and they were like, or series premiere, and they were like, Sweet Life on Deck. And then they had like the final episode of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody like feed into it, which is really cool because not very like companies actually know how to do that correctly. And
wasn't like the final episode of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody premiered like 30 minutes before the premiere of Sweet Life on Deck?
After that episode, they ran like a few commercials or something, and then they started Sweet Life on Deck because that was back when like TV was like cool.
I might put out a Twitter poll later just for anyone listening who listens to this podcast.
5 people.
Sweet Life of Zack and Cody over Sweet Life on Deck. Which one? Huh?
I just like Sweet Life on Deck because it didn't. I felt like Sweet Life of Zack and Cody just got stale after a while because it was the same place. Like, there wasn't all the time. It was just always they were always somewhere in that hotel.
There's not much you can do with They very rarely left a hotel in the middle of Boston.
Yeah, I mean they were kids, so I understand why they couldn't just go out into Boston.
But once you got Sweet Life on Deck and they went to all these different countries.
Not only were they older, but I'm pretty sure the writers like picked up on like what we were just mentioning about it got stale because there's only so much you can do in a hotel, and the whole just how they move between continents, move between different places. But it was the same thing as Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. It's just like it had that change of scenery made a big enough difference.
I like Sweet Life on Deck because Sweet Life of Zack and Cody focused a lot on Zack and how he was really popular, right? But I feel like Sweet Life.
They're twins.
But I feel like but I feel like Sweet Life on Deck focused a lot on Cody and his romantic relationship with, I forgot the character's name,
Bailey,
but Debbie Ryan.
Yeah, Bailey.
Was that her name?
I don't remember. I remember she pretended to be a guy for the first 2 episodes of the show.
Debbie Ryan. Yeah, I don't know why. I think it was that she got a scholarship to this boarding school on the sea or whatever it was called, but she had to be a dude or something. I don't know. Show started off weird.
I always thought that she was just weird. And she just didn't want to be noticed,
Let's talk about, where they are now. So Debbie Ryan was on a Netflix show recently that tanked.
Was she?
Right?
What was that show called?
It was she was bigger, right? And then she fell and had her jaw wired shut so she couldn't eat, and so she lost a bunch of weight. And she got real popular all of a sudden.
Was it that show So Random?
No.
Do you remember that show?
That's So Raven? We talked about that.
No, So Random.
Never heard of it.
It had Debbie Ryan and a bunch of other dudes, and it was about a comedy show, but it was a comedy show about a comedy show because they were actors on this comedy show, but it wasn't an actual comedy show.
Oh, I know it was that's Demi Lovato.
That's okay. I get them mixed up.
Another huge person from our childhood. Demi Lovato made her big break on Camp Rock.
Was it Camp Rock? I thought it was Lemonade Mouth.
No, she was not in Lemonade Mouth. Lemonade Mouth was Bridget Mendler.
Those are some old movies.
Lemonade Mouth was Bridget Mendler.
What y'all know about Lemonade Mouth?
Okay, so Lemonade Mouth is awesome. So it's got Bridget Mendler, who we must know her from Good Luck Charlie.
It had all of the kids from Disney Channel. It was
I forget
awesome.
the girl's name, but she was in the live action Power Rangers that came out a couple years ago, and she's playing Jasmine in the Aladdin remake now.
Which one was she in the Power Rangers movie?
She was the Pink Power Ranger.
The Pink Power Ranger?
Yeah, I forgot her name.
That girl.
Yeah.
Who cut her hair in the beginning.
Yeah, she cut her hair at the beginning. No, Haley Kiyoko was in Lemonade Mouth, and she came out as a lesbian like not that like a couple years ago. But anyway,
Yeah,
she
dude.
was in Lemonade, and now she's a singer now, right? Because I went. She opened for Panic at the Disco on their tour last year.
I think she is.
Yeah, she opened for Panic at the Disco on their like big tour last year. She's a really good singer now. But any of you out there know anything about Lemonade Mouth? Love that old movie. Do you remember Sweet Life on? Speaking of Sweet Life on Deck, yeah, Naomi Scott was Pink Power Ranger, and also in Lemonade Mouth. That's her name. She's
Okay.
also Princess Jasmine.
I was thinking of the Yellow Ranger because she's also like a singer.
No, Becky G.
Yeah. She's also a singer.
Yeah, Becky
So-
G has a few albums out now.
American singer, songwriter, and actress. Gained recognition in 2011 when she began posting videos of herself covering popular songs online. Yeah.
Do you remember? So we were talking about Sweet Life on Deck. Do you remember the Sweet Life on Deck movie?
Do you remember Drake and Josh Go to Hollywood?
Yes, I do remember that. It was like Drake got like a record deal, but then
No,
Josh got
It was
kidnapped or something.
It was like this counterfeit ring stored the like schematics and like blueprints to like forge $100 bills like on their iPod because iPods were a big deal at that time.
Also
and like
big
you know
deal.
they're like look
touches.
guys, the iPod can it can do things and everybody was like wow cool.
Does anyone? Y'all probably don't remember. Some of the younger kids out there don't remember the iPod Nano. Do you remember that? It
I have
it
one. I
wasn't
still
touch-
have one. I
it
still
wasn't-
have one of those.
I
Yeah.
remember it being a huge deal when,
It was just a
when I
little
got one in like third.
Block
No,
that
no,
had
no.
like a play button plus
No,
minus
that was
and
a
then
different-
fast
That was a
forward
different
and
thing. iPod Nano was the thing, and it wasn't touchscreen, but there was a
oh
screen.
the one with the screen and you like
right? And there
rotate
was
your
a
thumb
circle
around
thing.
the
I
little
remember
trackpad.
the
Yeah.
coolest thing is you could it was like 3 games you could download, and it was like
Dude,
the Snake game.
Did you ever have a Palm Pilot?
What is that?
You've never heard of a Palm Pilot? My dad
No.
had one when I was growing up. It was like the first, like the Galaxy Note and how it comes with the pen and stuff.
Yeah.
It was like the predecessor to that, basically.
Okay.
It was a black and white, very primitive digital screen that like you had to like use in the direct light, or else you couldn't see it because it had no backlight. And you had a little pen, and you could set your alarm. You could play like chess. You could play Snake, and I think if you could like find some way to put music on it, you could have listened to music because it had a headphone
Yeah, I
jack.
remember iPod Nano. You could store like 3,000
Yeah,
songs.
it had like
it
a
was
few gigabytes of, which was,
But it was
that was a lot
But
at the
in
time.
2007
yeah,
when
that
it
was
came out,
a few gigabytes was like a lot of
it was
space. So.
a really big deal, and you could store like 3,000 songs on there. Plus, it had the Snake game. It had Pong, where you could like the Pong on the side, and
Plus, if you still use Napster at that time,
and it had. Do you
could get
remember?
all your
Do you
music.
remember the game? I can't remember what it's called, but it was like Brick Breaker, where it's like you had the bar on the bottom, and you had to break all the bricks.
And the
on
ball
top
like
of the
bounces
screen,
off,
the ball
and you have to
bounced
move
off.
it back and
yeah.
forth. Yeah,
Yeah, Brick Breaker, I think was the name of that game. But that's what you could. Oh, old video game systems. We grew up in the time between, like,
We grew up in.
N64 was still a thing, because I remember my first ever game system was a GameCube.
We grew up in like a time when like they were sort of still figuring that stuff out, because they were like, all right, so we made the N64, we made the the Wii came out in what, 2005, 2004.
I remember it being a big deal when Wii came out, because Wii came out like a year after 360. The year after Xbox 360 came out. Xbox 360 had all those like overheating problems when it first came out.
Oh yeah, I remember playing games and my console freezing and like me spiking my controller into the carpet
Red
when
Ring
I
of-
was like 8 years old or
Red
something.
Ring of
Yeah.
Death.
Oh wait, hold on. How old was I when I had an Xbox, or when I got an Xbox? I think I was like 12
I remember
or 13.
I remember when 360 came out, and it was really cool because it had like the button you had to press, and then it like the controller like it lit up. It was real cool.
I would go over to my friends' houses, and they would have like the original Xbox, and I was like, dude, the Xbox. Did you play Marvel Nemesis on the original Xbox?
No, the first
It
game
was like a Marvel fighting
I didn't
game.
have the original Xbox.
I didn't
had
either. I would go to my
360.
friend's house and play it.
So like,
But,
I remember it was cool because
Halo 2?
I had friends who had had an N64, but I didn't have one. But I had a GameCube, and they didn't have one. And GameCube was cool. And GameCube was one of those ones that had like an opening like title screen. It was really loud for no reason. Yep. It was real loud for no reason, and it had like 7 games you could buy for GameCube. Because they basically released GameCube as like a spacer between N64 and Wii. That's it. It was really loud for no reason.
Do you remember those coming soon to a theater near you commercials? That would, because the show would be at like 25% volume, so you'd probably have your TV speaker set to like 20
No, do you
or
remember
25.
when you used to buy
You would buy a DVD to a movie, and
Yeah.
there would be ads
So-
for other movies
so you
in the
would
title
buy-
screen to the DVD.
you would buy a DVD of any kind. Most of the time when I was a kid, it was like Disney films, because people for some reason don't like Disney anymore, which is treason for me. I love Disney. But all I did was watch Disney movies when I was a kid, and you'd get these, like a purple screen would pop up, and just this dude with really deep voice, coming soon to a theater near you, with this really deep voice. And they also did it for DVDs. It was like, it'd be like coming out on DVD soon or something like that. And so they have and when it was Disney, right, it would have a commercial for the next Disney movie that's going to come out in theaters, or the last Disney movie that came out that was about to come out on like VHS.
Don't get me started on VHS, dude. No,
I remember-
so many kids grew up without a VHS.
I remember it being a big deal because my parents got excited when I was in
Oh, I learned
3rd grade, because you could buy a 2-part it looked like a DVD player does now, but
one side was like
one
a
side was
DVD and the other
VHS,
side
and
was
one side was
VHS. I
DVD.
had one of those.
Yeah, I remember being a big deal. And then when VHS became obsolete, my mom started complaining because she had to she took all of our VHSs to the store with her, and so she could find the DVD versions of the VHS, so that we didn't lose the movies we
I
already
would write them
owned.
down on like a little list. And whenever my mom would be like buying stuff, I would try to annoy her into getting it for me.
And this is really annoying because this is right around the time the Disney Vault thing started. And if you don't know what Disney Vault is, so what Disney does is they take their movies and they put it in the vault, and they pick 2 movies a year, or 1 or 2 movies a year, to take out of the vault and sell. So one year they'll put Aladdin out on and sell it in stores on DVD for a year, and the next year they'll do The Lion King or Hercules or something. And so Disney Vault became a thing back then. So my mom would get really annoyed because she was like, I can only find 3 of these Disney movies on DVD unless you went to really abstract stores. Speaking of abstract stores, Best Buy? Not Best Buy. No.
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster.
I remember going into Blockbuster.
Blockbuster.
Do you remember? This is just gonna be like a you and me type thing. I doubt anybody out here is gonna relate to this, but on 42 there was an old VHS store behind the food line. In that little building, there's an eye center there now.
Yeah, I think so.
There was
I remember
that used to be a DVD, like a VHS store.
I remember
and I
there
remember going in there and
being-
renting The Incredibles on VHS and watching it for the first time in my living room on one of those tube TVs.
I remember shopping. For some reason, when I was a kid, we did a lot of shopping in Smithfield, and in Smithfield, it was awesome. So there was a Dollar General right next to a Blockbuster, and Blockbuster was awesome. I remember I really liked Blockbuster because one time I went up. Some of my family lives up north, and so we went up north to visit my family, and I brought my Xbox 360, as we talked about, but I forgot all the games, and so we could go to Blockbuster and rent games for a day at a time. We ran do you remember Soul Calibur? Which was
I
Mortal
jumped
Kombat.
I jumped into the series with Soul Calibur 6, I think it was.
Yeah.
So I had no, it was Soul Calibur 6 just came out. What am I saying? Soul Calibur 2.
I remember playing Soul Calibur 4. It was like Mortal Kombat, but it had Yoda from Star Wars and Darth Vader was in it, and like just like these really weird things. It was awesome. Probably not an appropriate game for me when I was 8 to be playing, but it was a great game. So I don't know. I miss the old days, man. So it was just great.
Well, as much as we would love to talk about old things, childhood things for a while, we
talk about one more thing.
We have about 10 more minutes left in this class.
The
for
DS.
right now. We don't have time because we're just gonna keep going.
Boo.
Next week, or okay, not next week. Next week's current events. Week after next week.
Sure, we can come back. How about this? This can also become a series for us, I think, and I
Yes.
think it will be because we have so much more to talk about. So we're just gonna leave a little teaser. We'll talk about Nintendo DS, some more Disney Channel shows. We won't name them. One of them starts with an F that I really want to talk about. I hope Connor knows what I'm talking about. Timmy Turner.
I know of it, but
Yeah, all
I
of you know
didn't
Timmy
watch it.
Turner from that crappy song that came out 3 years ago, but we know Timmy Turner from something else.
are you talking about the Speaker Knockers song?
Yeah,
That's not where I know Timmy Turner from.
exactly.
Timmy Turner was from the freaking Fairly Odd Parents.
Exactly. We'll be talking about.
Even though I
Fairly Odd
never
Parents
watched the
next time.
Fairly Odd Parents, I knew like
I watched that show.
just enough to talk about it.
Okay, now we have to talk about this now. Now that you brought it up.
Nope. Next time. All right.
Okay, so next time we'll talk about Timmy Turner, Jimmy Neutron,
Everything.
DS.
The DS. The
big
PlayStation.
stuff. We didn't talk about a lot of cartoons. SpongeBob.
Can we
didn't
talk about
a
the
lot of
PlayStation 2
cartoons.
startup noise?
Oh.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. I'm Connor Tyndall.
And I'm Jacob Murphy. Tune in next week for our current events podcast.
And tune in the week after that
For a continuation
another
of our
nostalgia
childhood podcast. Thank you. Peace out.